still cannot fathom somebody willingly doing this to a dog.
A puppy strangled and beaten to death. Hear from the woman who saw it and called 911.
Local elementary school faculty thought they heard gunshots on a voicemail this morning. An alert went out to parents. What we're learning about what really happened.
Other students spent the day learning about NCIS and CSI, not the TV shows, the math and science behind them. Your News at 5 starts right now.
This is 9 on your side at 5.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Goodman.
And I'm Jeff Varner. Thanks so much for inviting us in this afternoon. 3 Pitt County men are behind bars accused of choking and beating a puppy to death, and a neighbor witnessed it all. It happened in Greenville Tuesday afternoon on Carolyn Street. 9 on your side's Kristen Hunter is live in the newsroom now with the latest. Kristen, it's just a sad situation to think about what happened here.
Oh, it really is, Jeff. And that neighbor agreed to talk with me today, and she told me the only word to describe what she saw is horrific. Now, we want to warn you, some of the details of this case are very disturbing. She has 2 rescue dogs and 5 cats of her own. So when devoted animal lover Amy Worthland walked outside of her Greenville home Tuesday,
I can't really still to this day can't grasp what I watched.
Pitt County deputies arrested Demetrius Crumble, Evan Harrington, and Kendrick Fitchett. Investigators say the 3 men choked a 4-month-old pit bull puppy with phone cords, took turns beating the puppy with a PVC pipe, and then threw her in a ditch. Worthland and her 15-year-old daughter watched in horror and called 911.
My daughter and I actually located her deceased body in that ditch with her collar on.
Deputies say the men never admitted to the crime and told investigators the dog had been sick. There was some confusion on Carolyn Street Thursday when 9 on your side was there. Worthland thought she found the body of a second puppy in her neighbor's yard, but when a deputy arrived, he confirmed it was the same dog.
I left with the intent that then told the individual there that lived at the house and owned the dog that he was in charge of properly disposing of the animal when he got released. Initially, most animal cruelties are misdemeanors, so we figured it would be an in-and-out thing.
Because of the nature of the crime, deputies ended up charging all 3 of the men with felony cruelty to animals and failure to dispose of the dog. Animal Control picked up the dog's body Thursday morning. Images that will not only haunt Worthland.
Unfortunately, the images in my head will stay with me.
But investigators, too.
We deal with a lot. We see a lot, unfortunately, and when it comes to animals and kids, it's kind of takes it to another level.
As for Worthland, she's taken it upon herself to be a voice for the innocent puppy.
These 3 men won't be able to do this to another animal ever again.
Now, 2 of those men who were arrested, Harrington and Crumble, both have prior criminal records. Deputies say Crumble also faces additional drug charges. Live in the newsroom, Kristen Hunter, 9 on your side.
There were some scary moments this morning at Pamlico County Elementary School, but in the end, everything was just fine. As 9 on your side's Madeline Wright reports, school administrators and parents took no chances protecting their kids.
More than 80 parents came to Pamlico County Primary School to bring their children home early.
I rushed down here to get my son because I don't want nothing happening to my son like what happened up north.
I'm just being precaution here. It's my grandchild and a little boy I oversee, and just want to get him out of here.
A voicemail to the school sounded like gunfire, and that put parents and staff on high alert. The school secretary notified the principal, and soon the superintendent and sheriff's office were involved.
Any time that there is the slight possibility of any threat to the safety of the students and staff, we take it serious.
As a precaution, 3 deputies from the Pamlico County Sheriff's Office were added to the school Thursday for extra security.
As long as they found out who it was and they cancel that problem, everything will be okay, but until then, my kids are not coming back to school.
The school notified parents by phone, though many we spoke to only found out by word of mouth or by watching the news.
I was scared. I was nervous.
The school canceled outdoor recess for the day, but continued classes as normal. In the end, it was all just a misunderstanding. In Bayboro, Madeline Wright, 9 on your side.
I talked to a lot of parents through email today who are understandably very worried. Now, detectives say they found out who placed the call. It was a woman whose 2 children go to that school. She accidentally called the school, and the sound on the voicemail was actually a machine crew doing some work outside of her home. Definitely good news that it was nothing serious.
Yes, it is. Well, we've got some snow coming down in the Midwest. It's even got some lightning packing with it.
Wow, and that thunder snow. Whiteout conditions have made driving Nearly impossible. It's also shut down most schools and businesses. Storm Team 9 Chief Meteorologist David Sawyer joins us now. And David, please tell us that is not coming here.
Indirectly, it will be. But as you just pointed out, what a powerful storm system. Anytime it is powerful enough to lightning in a winter storm, that's a strong storm system, as you all know. And what we will see, Storm Team 9's job is to tell us what's coming and when. Let's talk about it now. First, the what. Here is that major storm system that Jeff and Amanda showed us, that compelling video of the thunder snow across the nation's heartland. You can see the spiraling low pressure system around the nation's heartland, extending southward, even severe weather happening, as you'll note, right to the south of this, what's called the warm sector, or this warm front, severe weather across southern Mississippi. All of this moisture is heading our way, but as it does, it's going to overspread eastern North Carolina with just the moisture. This system will not have the powerful punch that it has currently. So as we talk about our forecast for eastern North Carolina, a little bit of the rain coming early enough into Friday morning that inland counties may have a slight risk of some ice, meaning a little bit of freezing rain possibly, and just a glaze of ice, as we know, can cause some problems. So anywhere inland, we could see a little bit of that ice. Freezing temperatures between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. could bring a light glazing of ice, but significant icing, Storm Team 9 maintains, not going to be a major deal for the 9 on Your Side viewing area. This afternoon and this evening, beautiful sunny skies. Hard to think about a storm system coming our way for this afternoon with temperatures in the 40s. We're talking evening temperatures falling into the 30s, and we'll talk more about our chances for a wet weekend coming up.
All right, David, thank you very much. Police in Hickory confirm a skull found in April 2012 is the skull of that missing 10-year-old girl. The state medical examiner's office used DNA to identify it did belong to Zara Baker. Her father moved her from Australia, you'll recall, to Hickory so he could marry Elisa Baker, or Elisa, the woman he met online there. Zara disappeared in the fall of 2010. Her stepmother, Eliza, pleaded guilty to second-degree murder.
East Carolina University leaders will vote in the morning on whether to spend $162 million to expand their campus. Not on Your Side's Katie Banks found out today how more students translates to the need for more space. Katie.
Amanda, the plan is to build 2 new student centers, one to replace the nearly 40-year-old Menden Hall, plus they're thinking big picture and want to lay the groundwork now for future expansion. It's an inside look at what could be a new student center on ECU's main campus.
So this new student center also has a major public face on 10th Street and then integrates parking that replaces the surface parking that the building is displacing.
University officials say the new 208,000 square foot building and 700 car garage are necessary to accommodate their 27,000 students and more than 300 student organizations.
We've simply outgrown the Menden Hall Student Center.
On Thursday, ECU administrators and outside consultants presented the Board of Trustees with the new center proposal, plus plans for another brand new center on the Health Sciences campus. The 2 projects would cost $162 million, paid for with increased student fees and by companies that would operate inside the new centers.
Based upon the data we have from our students, Menden Hall is considered to be a destination place, meaning students come in here, they get what they need, and they get out. They don't necessarily hang out because it's not conducive to that. So the new student center will be the living room.
Hardy estimates student fees could range anywhere from $200 to $400 per person. That wouldn't kick in until construction begins. It's a price ECU junior Trent Tigner says would be well worth it.
You know, if your friends are going downtown but you don't want to do that, then you kind of don't really have an option but to just hang out by yourself. And so it'll be kind of cool to see what this new student center provides.
Now, the board will vote on those proposals tomorrow morning, but before construction can begin, the UNC Board of Governors would also have to sign off on it. And if everything goes smoothly, the new centers could be open as soon as 2016. In the studio, Katie Banks, 9 on Your Side.
Driving in eastern North Carolina, you know you have to keep your eyes open for deer. But some people in Martin County say they're faced with another danger. What else is finding its way onto the roads? Plus, 6th graders gone wild for science and math. What's got these middle schoolers so excited?
Plus, another kind of driving for eastern North Carolina. Could we be dealing with some ice Friday morning? We'll answer more in your Storm Team 9 forecast. Welcome back. Glad you're with us on this Thursday afternoon. Here again, an impressive winter storm system bringing snows to the northwestern portions of the nation's heartland. Severe weather farther south. You're looking right now along the Mississippi River Valley, where we do have these heavier showers and storms. The pink representing ice and pure snow up around Davenport, Iowa, extending into Omaha, Nebraska. Let's talk about how this system is going to affect eastern North Carolina. It's still far away for the time being, so short term, no problems into this evening. It's tonight into early Friday morning. So that's why I'm glad you're with us here. We're going to show you now in your Storm Team 9 forecast. We do expect the rains to start overspreading eastern North Carolina into our Friday morning. But notice, here is your precision forecast put all together for you. With temperatures at or above freezing, it's just a rain event. But note, up around Roanoke Rapids, over toward Rocky Mount. Areas mainly north of US 264, and that would also include Windsor as well as Ahoskie. We could have temperatures hovering around that 32-degree mark or slightly below. That means the onset of precipitation into early Friday morning could bring a little bit of icing. So again, Storm Team 9 on your side, giving you the weather story. If you live south, very likely just a rain event into early Friday, but areas north, we will be watching this carefully. Farther north and west you live in eastern North Carolina communities, the better chance you'll have that risk of maybe a little bit of freezing rain before 9 a.m. on Friday. But notice, into the afternoon, Friday afternoon, everybody gets above freezing. This is just a rain event from after early morning Friday, and then keep the umbrellas. Look at all the rain that's going to move through eastern North Carolina, even on into Saturday, but notice temperatures well above freezing. We will see again the better chances of any light glazing of ice, mainly north of US 264. If you live, say, south and west of Greenville, that would include Goldsboro, Snow Hill, Kinston, could be a little bit of a transition zone here. Little ice, maybe to some rain by mid-morning. That's why the National Weather Service has smartly issued all counties, mainly inland, for a slight risk of some ice before 9 a.m. Friday morning. But once the freezing temperatures go away, it's just a rain event. From that point on, widespread rain chances into Friday afternoon, temperatures above freezing. That's why we're not going to worry about any more icing after early Friday morning. And as our 7-day forecast shows, the rain chances are going to continue as we move on into your weekend. This low pressure is going to mean business in terms of lots of rainfall. As you'll note here, our precision forecast model keeping the rain chances with us at least through Saturday afternoon, clearing out on Sunday. So recapping, Jeff and Amanda, rain starting out the day. Could be a little ice early, but not going to be a major problem as we see it. But you know what? It only takes a slight glaze of ice to cause problems.
It sure does. You cannot drive on that. You know, David, I have to ask, all of the snow in places like Texas and in the plains, there's been a lot this winter. Is that rare?
It's been a very active winter. Not unprecedented, but you're right, very active winter. And it looks like that pattern's going to continue. So that's why we're glad we're here to keep everybody updated with the forecast.
Yeah,
thank you so very much. All right, we are all dealing with the tight economy, and the governments around the world are no different. Today, a NATO leader talked about tightening up the belt, what he had to say about steep cuts to defense spending.
And why people in Martin County called animal control on the community college. Stay with us.
We're getting answers after viewers called 9 on Your Side about the Martin County Community College equine program. A car recently hit a horse from there, and we understand horses on the road might be a growing issue. Alex Friedman reports more from Martin County.
From the outside, it's easy to see the equine program is a major part of Martin Community College. And last Saturday night, 5 colts wanted a view from the outside as well.
They broke through the fence and got out. One of them was hit by a vehicle.
The equine program director, animal control, and students were able to round up the horses. A veterinarian was called out to see the injured horse Saturday night and again Monday. It's expected to make a full recovery.
It's unfortunate that with horses that will happen sometimes, no matter what you do, which you don't want it to ever happen. But you don't have control over animals sometimes, and which no one was there, I guess, when they got out.
Britt says it's possible the horses were spooked, and that's what caused them to break through the wooden fence here, a fence that she says they check often.
The students in they part of their daily routine, and as part of their training program, is they always check fences every day.
But viewers who contacted 9 on Your Side say the program has been having trouble as of late. Animal control officials we talked with say they have been called out to the college multiple times, but have yet to see the need to issue a citation.
We're sorry it happened, and something couldn't be avoided at that time, but still we're very sorry that it happened.
Despite rumors, program directors say the Colts suffered no broken bones or major injuries. In Williamston, Alex Friedman, 9 on your side.
Well, different day, same problem. Lawmakers in Washington continue to push blame right onto their opponents. Next week, across-the-board spending cuts will go into effect unless our leaders can come to an agreement. And that agreement seems to be miles away. $85 billion worth of cuts kick in March 1st. More than half of those cuts hit the Pentagon, but other areas will also feel the effects. Congress returns to work next week. They will have until that Friday to reach a deal. The head of the NATO military alliance urged member countries to stop cutting their defense budgets. General Anders Rasmussen spoke before a NATO meeting in Brussels, Belgium. He said defense should not be the first thing governments look to cut in tough economic times because continued cuts compromises everyone's safety. Rasmussen suggests governments become more efficient at using the resources they actually have.
American employers are hiring, but people are still unemployed. That's the latest word from the Labor Department. Last week, 20,000 more Americans filed unemployment claims, but the department says that number is consistent with a modest rate of hiring. All right, in middle school, it would have taken a lot to get me excited about math. What Camp Lejeune did today to bring some fun to a math and science classroom. Plus, federal agents rush into a popular wheelchair manufacturer. Why they forced the workers to drop everything they were doing and leave.
5 cars crash and catch fire on the Las Vegas Strip right near iconic casinos like Caesars Palace and the Bellagio. But the scene is more than just a car crash. Coming up at 5:30, the story behind this wreck starts with a shootout. It has not ended yet. The latest on that investigation and the search for the shooters. Plus, some brazen criminals break into cars in broad daylight with people still inside. Wow. See the dramatic end to that crime spree along with many more stories in our next half hour.
Some kids in Jacksonville got a hands-on look today at the science behind solving crimes. 9 on your side's Tony Rawlings shows us how they learned the finer points of investigation.
6th graders at Hunters Creek got a crash course in crime scene investigation Thursday as agents from Camp Lejeune's Naval Criminal Investigative Service and Criminal Investigations Division visited the school to show students the science behind solving crimes.
With our presentation, we're doing about 3 or 4 different stations, which, everything from processing a crime scene, how to document it, breaking out some of our tools that we use like alternate light sources.
Students saw how NCIS investigators use different lights to reveal things that can't be seen by the naked eye. CID agents showed the students how to find, lift, and compare fingerprints, a favorite among students we talked with.
We use this dust and stuff, and we got to use the actual brushes they use, and they took people's fingerprints and put it on a card.
School Liaison Officer Julie Fulton says the presentations are a great way of showing students how what they're learning in class applies to the real world.
Sort of gives the kids a chance to see the excitement behind the science and the math and the technology, and so they can start to envision that they might want that for their career path.
Williams says his agents use their educations in the field every day.
Everything from science, math, biology, you name a class, you can use it in your everyday work.
Showing students that what they learn applies both in and out of the classroom. In Jacksonville, Tony Rawlings, 9 on your side.
Now, Southern Methodist University sponsored the CSI for a Day camp. This was the 2nd session for the camp in the United States.
Agents from the FBI, Inspector General, and Texas Attorney General raided a scooter store office and forced workers to leave immediately.
If you're living with limited mobility, call the scooter store today.
And it's those ads that have sparked that federal investigation. Federal auditors say the scooter store charged more than $100 million. Former employees say the company made them continually call and visit doctors in an effort to wear them down and coax them into signing off those wheelchairs. Weeks ago, the scooter store cut 150 jobs, citing pending government changes and Medicare reimbursements as the reason.
Wildlife on the roads, making headlines across America today. A bald eagle, a herd of cows, and a slew of cars. We'll explain next on 9. You're watching 9 on your side at 5. Let's take a quick look at what's making headlines across America. Washington, D.C., a federal judge delays a beer takeover. Anheuser-Busch wants to buy Grupo Modelo, the makers of Corona and Corona Light. The Justice Department blocked that takeover last month, saying it hurt competition and consumers would suffer. March 19th, the court will hear arguments from both sides.
Portland, Oregon, a bald eagle struggled on the side of the highway until emergency crews showed up to help it. A car hit the eagle and broke his leg. Since this rescue, a vet has checked him out. The bird's partially paralyzed but in stable condition.
What a beautiful bird. Brevard County, Florida, not eagles, but cows patrolled the side of the highway. Several cows from a nearby farm got loose right in the middle of rush hour. One of the cows' owners says he thinks somebody cut a hole in his fence. Despite that scare, no people and no cow was hurt.
In Massachusetts, one man turned his backyard into a 21st century igloo. This is his fourth handmade igloo. It has a TV, a couch, a lamp that doubles as a hand warmer. He says he started work in November. He calls the process a good workout.
Now look at I would think that would melt the snow. That's heat right there,
Well,
right?
I think it's because the snow maybe is packed so tightly. I am not an igloo expert, though.
Me neither.
Oh, it has wood. We're on the same
person. It's crazy. We have more news and weather in our next half hour. Don't tell anybody.
No, you don't tell. It's 9 on your side at 5:30. Here's a look at the big stories we're working on for you today.
What sounded like gunshots turned out to be construction work. A strange voicemail triggered a school district alert today. Pamlico County primary administrators and law enforcement investigated that voicemail. Deputies traced the call back to someone who dialed the school by mistake. And the gunshots were really just a jackhammer in the background from crews doing some work there. Dozens of parents, though, rushed to the school. They had to check on their kids. We're going to have the latest on this bizarre situation and how the school jumped into action coming up at 6.
The state medical examiner identifies a child's remains 2 years after she disappeared. DNA confirms a skull found in the Hickory area belonged to Zara Baker. She was a 10-year-old who went missing in the fall of 2010. Her stepmother, Eliza Baker, pleaded guilty to a charge of second-degree murder in that case.
And Pitt County deputies arrest 3 men for animal cruelty. A witness says she saw them beat a dog with a pipe, then choke it with telephone cords. Demetrius Crumble, you just saw them there, Evan Harrington, and Kendrick Fitchett are now facing a felony charge. Kristen Hunter talks to the woman who says she called 911 while watching them do this. Kristen's going to be live with more coming up at 6.
Now we're going to go over to the Building Hope Community Banquet, a fantastic event. Our Jonathan Rodriguez is live at the Rock Springs Center in Greenville.
Yeah, this is a great charity, an annual event. Jonathan, what's in store out there today?
Jeff, if you had to sum it up in one word, it would just be inspiration. As you said, this is the Building Hope Community Life Center's annual, their big charity of the year here at Rock Springs in Greenville. The theme of the night is Dream Big, and who better to talk about that than their guest speaker tonight? It's going to be Dr. Ben Carson. He is a world-renowned pediatric neurosurgeon. He's studied at works at Johns Hopkins University, and he is actually the first neurosurgeon to successfully separate conjoined twins who were connected at the brain. So how cool is that? And not only that, what's greater than just his accomplishments is where he came from. He wasn't the guy who was making all A's in his class. He was the one who started at the bottom of his class. But his mom really pushed him, had him write book reports that she could barely read herself just to keep him focused, keep him dedicated, and he did. And now he's a world-renowned neurosurgeon, and that's the message he wants to spread to the kids here tonight. And that's what this Building Hope Community Life Center is all about. Telling kids it doesn't matter, where you come from, what you do, as long as you focus yourself, you can reach your dreams. So it's supposed to be a big night here. They actually sold out, so that's great news for this community center. Started with just 15 kids. Now they've helped more than 500 with after-school programs, life lessons, keeping them on the right track. So they're actually just getting the banquet set up here. They're expecting 700 to 800 people out here tonight. So it'll be a lot of fun, great inspiration, and great for our communities out here. If you can't be out here, I'll have a full story tonight at 11, including an interview with Dr. Carson. So make sure you tune into that. Guys, back to you.
Jonathan, they started the music at the perfect time. You had a soundtrack there, sir.
It sounded beautiful, right?
All right, Jonathan, we'll talk to you in a little bit. Thanks so much. Well, we are in the heart of winter, and in the next few days, the clouds will come a-calling.
Our chances for rain are going up. Meteorologist David Sawyer, I think we've got some winter weather we need to keep an eye on, too.
We sure do, Jeff and Amanda. We are tracking another winter storm to our west, and with temperatures dropping close to the freezing mark tonight, it's the onset, the beginning of this rainfall that could bring a little bit of ice to the 9 on your side viewing area. Here's the big storm system. It is sprawling across much of the nation's heartland, extending across the Mississippi River Valley all the way to the Gulf Coast. Severe weather down south. a transition to ice and snow farther north, and all snow spiraling around the center of low pressure. Of course, we'll be tracking this system as it heads on toward the east. Our forecast into this evening as we track the system could be seeing a little bit of ice or a glaze of it for mainly areas north in the 9 on your side viewing area. If you're watching us from north of US 264, that would include Wilson to Greenville to Bethel to Rocky Mount, Tarboro, Williamston to Oak City to Windsor and Roanoke Rapids. All areas north of US 264 and west of US 17 may see a little bit of this rain forming some light glazes of ice, and that's what could cause some travel problems. Areas south, we have this area painted to show that there could be a little transition zone, a light chance of some ice early on. That's why the National Weather Service has appropriately called for all inland counties with a winter weather advisory until mid-morning on Friday, with this slight risk of ice heading into the morning hours. So for the short-term forecast, gorgeous evening in progress. What a beautiful view with a live eye look from New Bern, and temperatures into the upper 30s by 10 p.m. under partly cloudy skies. More on these rain chances into the weekend straight ahead.
All right, David, thank you very much. Well, that winter weather David just mentioned dumped as much as 8 inches of snow in the western part of Kansas. Forecasters report it's moving slower, this storm is, than predicted. Precipitation is expected to pile up all the way from Colorado to Illinois. Drivers are faced with some dangerous conditions. Emergency crews and tow truck drivers, as you can imagine, are very busy.
I just heard another call they're looking for a wrecker to pull somebody in, and they're talking 5-hour delay to get a wrecker.
Now, some people reported thunder snow, Kansas City. The storm spans across 20 states, and at last check, about 60 million people are under winter weather warnings, watches, and some kind of advisory.
Well, members of the National Rifle Association are fired up about new gun proposals the organization is rolling out nationwide. The NRA paid for newspaper ads in 5 states, including here in North Carolina. Each of the states have Democratic incumbent senators that could face some tough re-election battles. NRA membership rose to record levels after that deadly shooting at Connecticut Elementary School Sandy Hook. Meanwhile, President Obama's administration is pushing for stronger gun control legislation. 3 people are dead after a sports car crashed into a taxi and caught fire on the Las Vegas Strip. It happened at an intersection near world-renowned casinos like the Bellagio and Caesars Palace. Now, police say gunshots caused the whole thing. People in a black Range Rover started shooting at a Maserati. At this time, police aren't even sure why the people inside that Rover started shooting.
There was a loud boom, and then I heard 2 other booms. And I looked out my window up here in Caesars Palace. I could see the fireball over here on the corner.
Now, the Maserati and taxi drivers both died. So did the passenger in that cab. The black Range Rover drove away from the crash. Police are still searching for it.
An Illinois judge denies Drew Peterson a new murder trial and sentences him to 38 years in prison. Jurors convicted him of killing his wife, Kathleen Savio, back in 2004. Today in court, he shouted, "I did not kill Kathleen." Someone in the audience quickly yelled back, "Yes, you did." Investigators say they found her body in a dry bathtub. Peterson's legal team argued his former lead attorney botched the case. Peterson's a former police officer. He's also suspected in the disappearance of his 4th wife, Stacy. Opening doors, snatching cash, and running. Criminals caught in the act by surveillance cameras. This is in Peru. Wow. You can see robbery suspects here stunning passengers that are stuck in traffic. Peruvian police say the gang calls themselves the Coyotes, preying on people right there in broad daylight. After several weeks of watching them closely, undercover agents launched an operation. The suspects tried to run from officers, but cops eventually got them.
Unbelievable. The bail hearing for Paralympic star Oscar Pistorius did not wrap up today. It will continue tomorrow, but today we learned the lead investigator will be replaced. Tina Krause has a story.
Former Olympian Oscar Pistorius looked down as he entered court in South Africa for day 3 of his bail hearing. Outside the courtroom, a startling development. Police are taking the chief investigator off the case because he himself is facing attempted murder charges.
A team of highly skilled and experienced detectives, they shall continue with this investigation.
Hilton Bota is accused of being drunk when he allegedly opened fire on a minivan full of passengers in 2011. The charges were withdrawn but were reinstated earlier this month, 10 days before Pistorius fatally shot his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp at his home. Prosecutors say the double amputee, known as the Blade Runner for his prosthetic racing legs, intended to kill his girlfriend when he fired 4 times through a bathroom door. Pistorius claims he thought she was an intruder. The victim's best friend says Steenkamp cared deeply about ending violence against women.
She was very passionate about it. The next day, on Valentine's Day, she was going to talk to women about abuse.
Pistorius faces life in prison if convicted of premeditated murder. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Well, let's switch gears because it was the battle of the baristas. Some of our nation's top coffee makers brewed up their best cup of joe for a championship in New York City. Frothing, tasting, and pouring, contenders had to create 4 espressos, 4 cappuccinos, and 4 signature beverages in 15 minutes. Katie Cargiulo won the competition last year, taking the title as America's #1 barista.
It's a lot of fun. It's a way to learn about another country, almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a geography lesson in itself.
Okay, now the barista competition finals, they're tomorrow, so we're going to figure out who's #1. The categories are based on technical and sensory qualities.
That's a lot of drinking and smelling, I do believe. Americans are eating less fast food than before. At least that's what the Centers for Disease Control says. Their newest study looked at adults from 2007 to 2010 and found we get 11% of our daily calories from fast food. It was 13% in 2006. The study also found younger people tend to eat more fast food than seniors, and African Americans tend to eat more than Hispanics and whites.
Well, weight and age, 2 things a lot of people lie about.
You trying to say something?
I do sometimes.
Hey, but this woman right here is proud of her age. She's fighting mad because somebody's forcing her to lie about it. We'll explain why.
Also next, we'll have more details on a wet scenario heading to the 9 on Your Side viewing area, how it will impact your weekend weather next. Part of the 9 on Your Side viewing area under a winter weather advisory into Friday morning. Going to show you why as we take a look at your Storm Team 9 forecast. Big storm system. Showed you this in first forecast. It's sprawling across the nation's heartland. The Mississippi River Valley, a transition from ice to snow, where the pink color represents that transition to severe weather toward the Gulf Coast. Here's the center of this big storm system now causing big time snows across Kansas, Missouri, and Nebraska tonight. So with that being the case, let's talk about how this is going to impact our weather, take you into the precision forecast mode. We're going to talk first about the moisture. It comes in later tonight, and the critical thing will be, of course, how close do we get to that 32-degree mark, which our precision forecast model is handling nicely. We'll stop the clock at 7 a.m. to show that areas north and west, that would include Wilson over toward Bethel, Tarboro, perhaps Oak City, maybe Williamston, toward Bertie County communities like Windsor, as well as Allander. Points to the north and west. That would include also Halifax, Roanoke Rapids, and the Virginia-North Carolina line. Could be at or below freezing for a short period of time between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. when the moisture really starts to come on in. If you're watching us south of there, say south of US 264, likely just a rain event, but nonetheless, it is going to be a close call. You'll note Greenville at 33 degrees at 7 o'clock, very close to that border of that critical 32-degree mark. Now, once we get through mid-morning, everybody is above freezing, so this is not going to be a major event in terms of long-term having to deal with ice or snow for that matter. It's early morning on Friday that we will be here in the Forecast Center monitoring the situation and keeping you updated on those temperatures. Very critical, so make sure you join Gannon in the morning as he will have the very latest for you on Morning Edition Friday morning. As we look, though, into Friday afternoon, Friday night, and even into Saturday, widespread rain. It's going to be a washout. Let's just call it the way it is, but no threats of ice after tomorrow morning. Temperatures actually warm up through the Friday and Saturday time frame as warmer air comes our way. Winter weather advisory in effect for north and western counties of the 9 on your side viewing area, including Kenansville, Kenston to Greenville, over toward Williamston, Edenton, and points to the west. This between now and mid-morning with that onset of precipitation. Freezing temperatures, again, just a slight risk of that for the points that we've just showed you. Light glaze of ice will be our biggest risk. Significant icing. Storm Team 9 continues to maintain not going to happen. We're going to see temperatures climbing, but a rainy forecast on Friday. Take you through the weekend now. Rain chances will become more and more likely into Friday night as well as Saturday as all of this moisture, check it out, overspreads the 9 on your side viewing area into the first half of our weekend. We will see things clear on out, though, by Sunday. Maybe a lingering shower in the morning of the 2 days this weekend. Outdoor plans, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Make them happen. Latter part of our weekend.
A good day to get outside.
Sunday will be the day. Saturday looks to be a washout.
All right, David, thanks so much.
In sports, they set the field for Sunday's Great American Race today. The Budweiser Duels featured a pair of qualifying races. Brian Bailey has our early sports coming up.
Plus, we're going to introduce you to the cell phone of the future. Are you kidding me with this? Tell you when you can expect to see it in stores.
Wow. This is 9 on your side at 5:30.
You know, in sports, NASCAR fans look forward to this Thursday in February every year. It is the twin qualifying races in Daytona.
Yeah, and the results from today set the lineup for Sunday's Daytona 500, which Brian Bailey is NASCAR's Super Bowl.
You guys know all about this whole thing, don't you? This
yes,
NASCAR, Daytona,
we know
everything
enough
like that.
to get it in your lap.
I have to kind of look it up every year to kind of refresh my memory because they used to run 21-25. Now they run 150-mile races for the qualifying races. Who's on the pole?
Danica Patrick.
Danica Patrick's on the pole. What was her goal today?
Well, you were just a little bit quicker than I was answering it. I knew that.
What was her goal today? To stay out of trouble. Because if she had wrecked her car today, she'd have to start at the back of the field, even though she was on the pole.
I'm glad you answered that question because I didn't know that one.
So let's check out what happened today. Danica Patrick, very cautious today. A very cautious race. I think all of us would agree. Probably the smart move. How about young Keelan Harvick?
Oh.
Good luck on Saturday night. Would it work again for Kevin Harvick? Get ready to take the wheel. I like that too. Danica brings the field down to green. Fairly quiet first race except for this. Denny Hamlin gets loose into Carl Edwards, A.J. Allmendinger, Trevor Bayne, all involved. That was the big crash from the entire day. Final lap, and Kevin Harvick will take the checkered flag. Abdul and Greg Biffle. Juan Pablo Montoya finished third. Jimmy Johnson fourth. Kurt Busch fifth. For Harvick, it's a double-double because Harvick won the Sprint Unlimited from Saturday night. That was duel number one. Takes you to duel number two. Jeff Gordon starts on the pole here for race two, and he was good early on. The story of the second race, Gordon too fast entering the pit, and he suffered a penalty for that. Pretty much out of it after that, and that would pave the way for Kyle Busch, who holds off Casey Kane for the win in race two. Austin Dillon was third, Clint Boyer fourth, and Matt Kenseth was fifth. Your qualifying races at Daytona. Now let's show you some basketball coming up for our Bailey's Best. Our play of the day. This is a good shot here because James Harden had a great night last night. Check him out here, beating the buzzer from half court. Hits the shot. He had 46 points against his former team. Houston beat Oklahoma City 122-119, and that is our Bailey's Best. Pirates trying to get their first win of the baseball season. They're down 1-0 in the third at Clark LeClaire against Illinois. The LeClaire Classic going on. We'll have an update for the coming up tonight.
All right, Pete.
We wish them luck. Thank you so very much. All right, mass shootings. They have started a national discussion on gun control, but is that what we should really be talking about? Shouldn't somebody be concerned about the mental health of the person shooting that gun? New at 6 o'clock, a special report on our state's mental health system, particularly as it pertains to kids. I've been working through documents, researching, calling, knocking on doors to get you answers, and I've learned quite a bit. I'm going to try my best. I don't know why this lovely young lady's on the screen right now, but I'm going to try my best to reveal what I uncovered in a 9 on Your Side watchdog investigation. Mental Health Meltdown Part 1, all that new at 6 o'clock tonight. But first, why having to lie about her age, there she is, has made that woman very upset. We'll tell you that next.
The red planets, not very red. Cell phones may not have colors at all very soon. Mars is known as the red planet, but that Curiosity rover recently drilled into the planet and found out It's not red. The soil sample turned out to be gray. Scientists say they'll use that sample to go and look for past life.
Yeah, this is all what's trending online today. Workers in Istanbul, Turkey are knitting away at a world record. Guinness accepted this mega sweater as the world's largest. Took 30 days to knit. The sweater's 154 feet long, 59 feet wide. Took 90,000 balls of thread to make it.
You know, some people like to keep the real age a secret, but not Marguerite Joseph. She's proud of her 104 years on this earth. So would I. Unfortunately, Facebook's not. On the site, you can't put down an age older than 99.
Uh-oh.
Since the story caught fire, Facebook said they are working to fix that.
They better. And clear cell phones on the way. Polytron Technologies revealed a new transparent model. Taken 6 years to make it, but it'll be on the market sometime this year. The glass is scratch resistant, shatter resistant, and that's just kind of cool.
A little odd.
It is a little odd.
More news and weather your way. An illegal cat rescue busted in Pasquotank County. Deputies say they received a tip that led them to a rented building off Nixonton Road. Investigators say that's where they found nearly 80 cats living in disturbing conditions. Now, deputies say the building belongs to a Chowan County couple. The sheriff's office is now working with the district attorney to file charges against them. A human skull found in the woods in Hickory belongs to a missing 10-year-old disabled girl. The state medical examiner's office used DNA to identify the skull found in April of last year. That confirms what police originally believed all along. The remains belong to Zara Baker. Now, Zara disappeared in the fall of 2010. Her stepmother, Eliza Baker, pleaded guilty to her murder. A trooper shot during a traffic stop in Durham is home from the hospital. Doctors released trooper Michael Potts today. Investigators say Mikhail Brady shot him 4 times, striking his hand, right shoulder, and face. It happened on Monday night right along Highway 70. Brady's girlfriend is also facing charges. She's facing accessory charges in that same shooting.
East Carolina University leaders will vote in the morning on whether to spend $162 million to expand their campus. Not on your sides, Katie Banks is digging deeper into these proposals. She's joining us live in the studio today. They want to build 2 new student centers, right?
Right. There's one on main campus that's going to replace one that they have that's been there for more than 40 years, and one on their health sciences campus that we all know is expanding very quickly, Jeff. And ECU officials say they're thinking big picture here and want to lay the groundwork for future expansion of the university. Today, I got an inside look at those potential new buildings at a meeting where administrators and outside consultants presented the Board of Trustees with the proposals. And as you said, Jeff, the 2 projects would cost $162 million total and would be paid for with increased student fees of up to $400 apiece and by companies that would operate inside the new centers. It's money school leaders believe is well worth it to better accommodate the growing student population.
Mendenhall is considered to be a destination place, meaning students come in here, they get what they need, and they get out. They don't necessarily hang out because it's not conducive to that. So the new student center will be the living room.
Now, the main campus center would be located just south of the current center and would include a 700-car garage. If approved by both the Board of Trustees and the UNC Board of Governors, the new centers could be open as soon as 2016. In the studio, Katie Banks, 9 on your side.
He went from the bottom of his class to world-renowned neurosurgeon. Now he's inspiring others to dream big. Dr. Ben Carson is paying a visit to the East tonight. It's part of the Building Hope Community Life Center's charity event in Greenville. You are looking live right now. We're at that center. They're having a banquet at Rock Springs tonight. The center helps at-risk kids through after-school programs. Our Jonathan Rodriguez is there. He will have that full story coming up at 11.
Very good program there. Mental health care. It is a complex system that in the state of North Carolina has seen so much growth and change. It's affected a great deal. But 9 on your side is making a complicated issue a little more simple. Is the system failing our young people who need its help? Are we seeing a mental health meltdown? Part 1 of our investigation coming up.
A big winter storm could bring us a threat of some ice early Friday. We'll show you the very latest forecast information next. Storm Team 9 tracking a big storm system across the nation's heartland. Here is the latest satellite and radar review. You'll see that the rain and snow and the ice, all of it happening across the Mississippi River Valley, even some severe weather happening along the Gulf Coast as the center, the big storm center itself, spirals across Kansas and Nebraska, bringing big-time snows. Big system affecting much of the country, and we're going to see a piece of it heading toward eastern North Carolina, the leading edge of the moisture now right along the Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia lines. We'll talk about the impacts on this system in just a moment. Short term, though, what a beautiful evening. Seahawk Inn and Villas from Atlantic Beach showing us this beautiful sunset. You can see the tranquil ocean lapping on the shores of the Crystal Coast tonight. This again, Atlantic Beach, live I-9. That takes us into a tranquil evening. Enjoy your evening. Temperatures in the 40s will fall to the upper 30s, and it's these 30-degree temperatures with the moisture approaching. That's what will give us some possible problems into early Friday morning. One more look with live Viper 9 showing the moisture shield continuing to make its way toward the northeast across northern Alabama and Georgia. It's just a matter of a few more hours before we start seeing some of this moisture heading our way. Let's now talk specifics on what this system's going to do. Our precision forecast has the handle on it. Glad you're watching us this evening as we have what we feel confident, a fairly good picture of what we will be facing early Friday morning. 7 a.m. I stopped the clock to show that most areas of eastern North Carolina will be above freezing. But if you live north of US 264, that would include Wilson, Greenville toward Williamston, over to Windsor, and westward toward Roanoke Rapids. Areas north of US 264 and west of US 17 could have a little bit of icing to start out the day. Areas south, likely temperatures above freezing, so just a rain event if you live south of US 264 and even more likely south of US 70. A wet scenario, though, heading through Friday, even into Saturday. It's going to be a fairly wet scene for Friday and the first part of the weekend. Here again, another look. Little transition area, Goldsboro, Kinston, northern Duplin County, Snow Hill in Greene County over toward southern Pitt County, and areas north of there, the better chances of a little bit of ice starting the day that I've just outlined. The National Weather Service appropriately has that preventative winter weather advisory in effect for all the counties that we have shaded in the western sections of the 9 on your side viewing area. We do see a slight chance of some glazing ice, but we are not calling for a significant chance of icing with this system as it comes. Your forecast after the morning, temperatures well above freezing, but a chance of rain becoming likely into Friday afternoon and lasting through Saturday. Note, 57 on Saturday means no threat of ice on Saturday, just a wet scenario. Clearing out on Sunday, highs in the mid to upper 50s.
All right, David, thank you very much.
You know, Jeff, too often we report on stories about young people shooting up schools, theaters, malls.
And the person pulling the trigger, you know, usually has some sort of mental illness. It's an issue that started me on a journey to find out what North Carolina is doing to make sure our kids don't join that trend. In a 9 on your side watchdog investigation, I asked the players in our mental health system some tough questions. Part 1 of what I found is next.
You're watching 9 on your side News at 6 with Amanda Goodman, Jeff Arner, Chief Meteorologist David Sawyer, and Brian Bailey Sports.
Kids killing kids. They get their hands on dangerous weapons and they act out their anger and their aggression in some hateful, evil ways. From Columbine to Aurora to Newtown, the evidence is clear. And though it's killed way too many, it started a discussion in America. But is it the right one we should be having? We are talking so much today about guns. Who can have them? How many they can have? What style they can have? But if guns don't kill people, people do, then why aren't we focused more on those kids and their mental health? Tonight, 9 on your side takes an in-depth look at our state's mental health system, particularly as it pertains to children. To some families, it is effective. To others, a complete and utter failure. And making a complicated system simple was not an easy task.
I think any parent that has a child with problems should be able to bring it up to somebody and get help.
Sounds simple enough, but for this father, it's been anything but.
Beaufort County Child Development.
His teenagers threatened to kill his teacher, and everywhere he's turned, after a point, he's turned away. Experts say there was a time when help was easy to find and pay for.
Under one roof, we had developmental disabilities, children's services, adult services, under one center, under one roof. It was the perfect one-stop shop.
And the state funded that, or?
Yeah, state, federal.
But as lawmakers do when dollars are involved, they saw the need to save and change. Change the U.S. Supreme Court, quite frankly, ordered.
In 1999, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the court decided people with mental disabilities should live in their own communities and not be locked down, restricted in an institution, and that paved way for reform. So in October 2001, then Governor Easley signed legislation that made North Carolina's public mental health system private, hoping to save tax dollars and better coordinate care locally.
You could see services deteriorating, staff were getting nervous. People were wondering what to do. We started fielding more complaints from the community, where to go, how to get there. And it was just a period of uncertainty, and still is.
Now, the thought was pushing services out into the community would not only save money, but better serve patients. So thousands of private providers like psychologists, sociologists, drug rehabilitators, you name it, like with any privatized effort, saw dollar signs and came running. And now those thousands of private providers are under the control of state organizations like ECBH, East Carolina Behavioral Health. North Carolina started privatization with 41 mental health authorities. Those are state-funded centers created in the 70s that have services under one roof. After privatization, shifts in policies downsized the 41 to 23, then to 11 managed care organizations, or MCOs. They oversee thousands of local service providers throughout designated counties.
And I don't think they were thinking about what was going to happen to all these people that were going to get pushed out of the system and didn't really have a place for them to go.
Reform to save money. But since then, these costs have been all over the place. From $581 million before reform to a high of $743 million in 2008 to $664 million in 2010. Many more of your tax dollars spent than when it all started.
There were some fairly spectacular failures where the new private company that came in tried to operate just like the old area authority had operated.
Lisa Wainwright is the executive director of East Carolina Behavioral Health. ECBH is the MCO overseeing private providers in 19 counties in the East.
Are we operating mental health more like insurance companies now?
We are operating, ECBH is operating more like the insurance company, but our providers are still acting like providers.
And here's the challenge. With so many providers, finding qualified workers to staff their centers is tough. In a system like this, teams like Wainwright's have a tough task to not only understand the massive amount of policy change over the years, but to communicate and ensure these private organizations do as well.
Could budget cuts and what's happening in Raleigh and the Great Recession and everything that's gone down, could that be affecting in some way, in your opinion, the quality of care?
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, yes. I mean, there kind of isn't a way to get around answering that. Could it affect it? Yes.
A process those who worked under the old system say is simply not working.
The people I've talked to, the people that have tried to get appointments and get quality mental health care, they've been shuttled from pillar to post, and very frustrating.
I don't want to be the family on the news saying, why did my son go and kill everybody? What was the reason? Why didn't I get him some help?
I don't think you'll ever get it perfect because we're dealing with human beings, and we're dealing with human beings with really significant challenges. I think we are absolutely on our way to getting it a whole lot better.
Let me pin you to a date.
Pin me to a date, and I would say let's get back together in 2 years.
Now, that's 2 years of growing pains. That's way too long for a lot of families to wait. But the system's undergone so many changes. The main message from those who've had success in other states is that we are on the right path and that we simply should stay the course. Now, tonight at 11, you're going to hear more from families struggling with finding care and what many of these local providers say the real problem is when it comes to helping families. We're going to look at a couple of disturbing trends that I uncovered, and of course, we'll let you know how you can find help if you have one of these children you think might be a problem.
It's disturbing as a parent. I have to tell you, checking on Facebook, our Facebook page, a lot of viewers out there talking about they applaud your efforts looking at the mental health, because it's who's pulling the trigger that's the issue, not the actual gun
I think
itself.
we've been sidelined with the gun issue. It's time to do something right.
Excellent report, a little disturbing. All right, looking forward to 11 o'clock, Jeff. Thanks so much. Well, let's switch gears. And coming up in sports, it is day one of the LeClaire Classic. Brian Bailey has your sports coming this way.
East Carolina opened the LeClaire Classic this afternoon, still in search of the team's first win of the young season. This weekend's tournament honors former Pirate coach Keith LeClaire, who lost his battle with ALS way too early in life. And the schedule was altered today because of the threat of bad weather. Illinois, New Mexico State, Boston College, Ohio all in town for the event. Pirates will now play BC tomorrow night at 6. It's East Carolina and Illinois today in this afternoon's game. And there you see Billy Godwin on the hot seat with that 0-3 start for sure. Keith LeClaire, the plaque at the stadium that bears his name. Jeff Hoffman, the starter for East Carolina, gets the strikeout early on. But Hoffman in trouble in the first. Jordan Parr with the base hit. Scorch one through the right side. That scores the run. And the Illini off to a 1-0 lead. Hoffman so far getting it done. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts. And he got a big hit from Zach Housens in the fourth, a 2-run homer. East Carolina leads it 2-1 in the fifth. We'll have complete coverage for you coming up later on tonight. Big win for the Pirates in hoops last night, and it came on the road. Maurice Kemp scored 23 points to lead East Carolina to the victory. Down south, Pirates at Tulsa last night playing the Golden Hurricane. South and west, I guess, off the Hurricane miss. Pat Swilling from the outside is going to bury the 3-ball. Pirates, though, go inside, finding success with Ty Armstrong. Solid play, 13 points. Tulsa tries to hang in with Kerry Black for the basket. He had 13, but the story in this one, Akeem Richmond's 17 points and Maurice Kemp's 23. Pirates win 72-63, improved to 15-10 overall, 6-6 in Conference USA. Tournament week continues tonight, leading up to Friday night's championship games. J.H. Rose plays in Wilmington tonight in the semifinals of the Mideastern Boys Tournament. We'll have that story for you later on. Last night, West Craven advanced to title night in the Coastal 3A in boys play, taking on D.H. Conley. And this game would go to overtime in this one. Battle of the Joshes. It's Cox and Cuthbertson. McDonald's All-American nominee had the better of it early on. The backdoor slam. We go to overtime in this one before West Craven wins at 76-74. That final. Girls play South Central and West Craven. Jamie Cherry honored 2,000 career points. The future Tar Heel, and she gets it done last night. They win 59-53 was that final. They will play Conley coming up in the championship. Samayan Jones and his ladies are headed to the championship game. The basket there, 56-26. Was that final. Back with more news for you right after this.
A little bit of ice, mainly for inland sections. As our forecast model does show, we'll see the best chance of ice for inland sections. We'll be tracking this for you throughout the overnight hours into early Friday morning, mainly west of US 17 and north of US 70. Once the cold temperatures in the morning go away, 47 on Friday afternoon, rain event Friday night into Saturday, clearing out on Sunday.
All right, Mr. Bailey.
Doesn't look good for the LeClaire Classic. They've changed the schedule already. You can check that out on our website at WNCT.com.
Okay. All right,
Thank you for joining us tonight.
And we will see you again here tonight. You are looking live at Rock Springs, a very important banquet. We're going to have a full report on that coming up at 11.